Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday, and welcome to Telling Tales. Here on Telling Tales, we tell atmospheric stories together through the medium of tabletop roleplay. It's nice to see you all. I can't see you. You can see me. But it's nice to be here. The first thing that I usually do after babbling on like this is introducing our stream manager, Matt. Hello, Matt.
Hi. Hi, Jonny.
Always top level faces.
Yeah, top level faces, top level banter, top level pretending we haven't talked for a week.
Apart from the last 15 minutes, we haven't.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I'm here to do the stream managing.
Thanks, Matt.
It's all right. So if anyone has any problems with cams, images, chat, stuff like that, then come to me and we'll hammer it out. Yeah. Think about that.
Thanks, Matt. For anybody who hasn't watched these before, it's your first time tuning in. Welcome. You should probably go back and watch some other ones, but also stay here. That doesn't work. We have links down below to our social media, so Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch if you're watching this on YouTube later, or YouTube if you're watching this now on Twitch. There is also a link to our Discord, which you can join and have chats with us about all things tabletop role-playing and other. And there is also a link to our Patreon, if you like what we're doing and would like to donate some money toward the cause to allow us to have better equipment and allow me and Matt to buy fancy cat food for our cats. We don't spend the money on that. Then you can do that, and it gets you access to different bits of our Discord as well as other things, all the way up to the possibility of Matt running a role-playing game for you. If you haven't seen Matt run a role-playing game yet, then let me tell you, on Tuesday nights on the Telling Tales Twitch, he runs Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. On Wednesday nights here on Twitch, he runs Simba Room, which is a game made by Free League and is very dark and atmospheric. And so far, he has run all of our monthly one-shots, which are on the first Saturday of every month. The first Saturday of June is going to be Fiasco, I believe, which is a GM-less system, so much more collaborative. But ones that have happened so far are Alien, Morkborg, and Troika. So if you like the sound of any of those, they are on our YouTube, currently available for you to stream. So go have a look at those. So this is the 7th session now of Call of Cthulhu and the story Darkwood. So our investigators have found themselves seemingly accidentally trapped in a small Scottish village, and lots of strange things have been happening. At the beginning of the last session, the group were looking at what was going on in the village as all of the villagers seemed to be heading towards the church dressed in funeral attire, and the priest was standing off against Jacob Menzies, who seems to be the de facto head of the village now. I think if we can bring Jack on, who plays Melvin. Hey, Jack.
Hello. You all
right? Would you like to talk us through sort of the beginning of last session?
Yeah. So, seeing this going on, Esther and Jemima sort of headed towards the church at quite a pace. And when they were there, they overheard the priest and Jacob Menzies having a sort of tense conversation. The priest finding out apparently he wasn't needed, and Jacob saying something about one of their flock going astray. Sort of after this sort of tense conversation, they confronted Jacob Menzies, sort of saying how he's big boss in town, trying to get him to sort of get them out of there. Which I don't think there was too much progress on that front, other than he was sort of saying Douglas should be looking after, not Douglas, Duncan should be looking after you. And then we returned to the pub. Well, they returned to the pub where Dane and Melvin were hiding or waiting. And then we went to speak to the priest. We got there, sort of knocked on his door. Sort of just before he opened the door, one of us heard what sounded like something scraping. We let in, and we sort of realised it's probably a fire poker. So he's obviously scared of something. And then sort of confronted him about the weird goings on and stuff like that. See, because he was probably one of our top suspects for it. He denied anything like that, but as we were leaving, Dane mentioned that it wasn't being entirely truthful. So even if he's not the cause of it, he's definitely aware of something. Yeah, I think that's it for me.
Yeah. So following that visit, Melvin and Jemima decided to head to the church. So if we could bring Sam on, who plays Jemima.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hi, Sam.
So, hello. So we had I think it was Willie originally in the pub who mentioned that we might be able to find some information out in the church records, and I basically dragged Melvin up to the church with me while the other two stayed put, and there was no one there. It seemed empty and quiet, so we kind of snuck our way to the door and then opened the door up and found no one inside, and snuck around a bit and found a side room we thought might contain some stuff, and snuck in there. No one was there as well, so I had a look around at some things. I think Melvin found the most modern book, and there were a variety of names in there, but we didn't really have much luck with our library use. So if I remember correctly, we didn't find out very much from the book. I think we found out that a few people... we found out that, what's his name?
Donald Menzies had his... and I messed up in last week's stream and called him Douglas Wallace for some reason. We'll just get that out in the open now. Douglas Wallace is not a character that's going to appear. He's not a character that's in the show so far. It's just a name that I plucked out of thin air and said, and realised about 2 minutes afterwards, and then listened back earlier and realised I had actually said it. So, yes, they found the entry for Donald Menzies, which had just been put in yesterday.
Yeah.
But yes, you also found out that Duncan Kilbride was sort of third generation.
Yeah, so he'd been here a while, because we were kind of wondering if he stood out for some reason or another, but didn't find any evidence of that. And then we noticed that there was another door to that kind of side room that we definitely weren't supposed to be in. And that door seemed to go up to the bell tower that kept on doing all the creepy, weird stuff. So me and Melvin effectively exchanged glances and then decided to head up and have a look. And... we didn't really find anything up there immediately. We kind of poked our heads out the top nervously, trying not to be seen from around the church. Didn't really find much. But then as we were kind of going back down and closing the door, we noticed there was another chalk drawing on the door, on the kind of underside of the kind of trap door that opened up to the top of the church bell tower, which was very creepy. And that kind of made us wonder what's going on, because we first thought it was all related to us, but clearly there's something more going on here. I think at that, me and Melvin kind of dashed back down to the pub.
And while that was going on, Esther and Dane had gone to see Jimmy Baines, who had previously driven you into the village on his cart, to try and organise travel at the first available opportunity once the weather sort of allowed. So could we bring Matt on, who plays Dane? Hey, Matt.
Hey, folks.
So if you could go through sort of your visit to Jimmy and then sort of the return to the pub.
Yeah, absolutely. So we found Jimmy. He was at home, and as we knew from the journey before, Jimmy appears to be mute In that he's not talking to us, but he welcomed us in nonetheless, and gave us a cup of tea, which was much appreciated at that point for everyone involved. We kind of got his affirmation that he's going to help to try and support the group to leave tomorrow, so not today because of the snow. And we had a bit of sort of small talk, I suppose, about him, and he touched upon the fact that he'd been in the war, and yeah, we finished our cup of tea together. After that, Esther and Dane just headed back to the pub, and we didn't see Melvin or Jemima on the way back, I don't think.
No. Yeah, and then obviously you got back to the pub, and Duncan wasn't around, and you also realised that Willie didn't seem to be there. So yeah, Dane went looking around for Willie. Didn't find him. It looked like his coat was gone, but nothing else was. So it was as if he could have gone out for a walk, or somebody was making it look like he'd gone out for a walk. And then Esther went for a little look around in the sort of residence. She noticed that the door was ajar. Didn't poke around too far, and then came back out to the pub, at which point she and Jemima heard some creepy whispering coming from the back. And Esther is now at least temporarily insane at the beginning of this session. So following the whispering, she sort of holds her hands to her ears and then runs up the stairs.
To be fair, it was really creepy. If you didn't hear that at the end of the last session, Johnny's creepy whispering was super creepy. Skye was actually creeped out about it. Chatting about
Sorry,
it
Skye.
So I think Jemima reacts immediately as well. So because I think if I remember correctly, she did pass her test. She didn't fail it, but she's like really weirded out by the fact it definitely sounded like it was coming from the residents, not just whispering around, right, Johnny? Yeah. So I leapt up, effectively yanked Dane by the shoulder with more strength than Dane was probably expecting, and dragged him with me, unless he's physically resisting, to run inside the house.
What's wrong? What's happening?
I don't say anything because I'm like running into the house to see what I see. Does the whispering just immediately stop after we heard it, or is it?
No, you can still hear it. It's sort of because you're moving and stuff. It's kind of at a lower level than when you were sat still, but you can still hear it.
Okay, so I'll assume Dane can't hear it because we're moving. So I'll kind of get to the doorway to their house, assuming that's kind of where it was coming from, and just say stop and go shh, and then like make a motion like I'm listening.
Yeah, do you want to make a listen roll for Dane, Matt? Jack, is Melvin staying sat in the pub, the front of the pub, or are you running through to the back as well, or are you going after Esther?
He's probably going to go after Esther, but I mean, I imagine he gets a door slammed in his face or something like that.
So when you get to the top, she's just gone into the room. The door isn't closed. And she's just kind of sat up on her bed with her hands around her knees and kind of slowly rocking on the bed.
Okay. I'm just trying to... Obviously, Skye's not here, so I'm just trying to do it in a way that... So, I mean, realistically, you'd probably ask her, what's happening.
She basically just... If you talk to her, she just sort of shakes her head. And stays in that kind of, closed in, self-comforting position.
Okay, he'll probably maybe put a blanket sort of around her shoulder and sort of leave her to it.
Yeah.
Gently close the door and sort of go downstairs.
Such a charming image, Melvin.
How did the roll go, Matt?
I needed 20 or under, and I rolled 82, so not very well.
Okay. You think you can hear something coming from the back, but you're not sure exactly what it is. Maybe a radio's been left on or something like that.
So I'm just increasingly confused and looking at Jemima. What is it? What can you hear? I can't hear it.
Shh, it's not that whispering. It's not natural. There's something wrong with it. And then I'll kind of move further towards it, making sure Dane's coming with me.
So you're going fully through the door to sort of Duncan's area of the pub.
Yeah. I think so. I think Jemima's had enough of this and wants to find out what's causing stuff, and this might be a solution. So
okay. So Esther had previously opened the door to the a bit wider, so you can see in the living room, and the sound seems to be coming from through to the right, which is sort of the bedroom and bathroom area.
Okay. In the living room, there's a fireplace, right?
Yes.
The fireplace has an iron poker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to grab the iron poker and hold it out in front of me like...
Okay.
So Dane is getting a bit still confused. Whoa, what's happening?
I probably don't say anything and just continue moving slowly towards where the sound's coming from.
Okay. Are you following it through into the next room? Into the bedroom area?
I would do, yeah. Like, try and be quiet, so I'm not... If there is something that I might scare away, I'm not scaring it, but I don't know.
Is Dane following?
Yeah.
Okay. Once you get into the bedroom area, can you make a sanity roll for Dane, please, Matt? Because Dane is definitely going to hear this now.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Dane.
Sorry, so I need 71 or under, and I rolled a 2.
Oh, you've got so much sanity. What?
Yeah, very sane. Okay. So, as Jemima comes fully into the room, you see on the bed is an open book with a section of writing on the left-hand page that you can see, and a drawing of the ornate cross symbol on the right-hand page. And that book seems to be where the whispering is coming from. So can you both make me another sanity roll, please?
Yeah. Oh, good. I made it.
I failed with a 99.
Ooh. Okay. I think you're going to lose 4 sanity for that, Dane.
Ouch.
Whispering books? It's fine.
Because all of that has hit you at once. You've not had... There's weird whispering, and then a couple of minutes later gone, it's coming from that weird book. You've just had all of it in one go.
So I think at this point, Dane is like back pressed up against the wall, kind of just staring. What is that? What is that, Jemima?
I'll just turn to look at him and shake my head and then look back in the room. But because I passed, I guess I kind of continue moving forward. Before I do anything with the book, I want to make sure there's nothing else or no person making the sound, because that's still what logically makes sense to me. So I'm going to go right round it if I can and check the sound is coming from exactly there.
Yeah, there's no other person here, and as you move round it, the sound still seems to be coming from in that direction. So it's not like there's something further on. You can check in the bathroom as well if you wanted to double check there's nobody there.
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's nobody there.
Okay. I'll say to Dane, it's definitely the book.
What's Melvin doing at this point? Would you have headed back into the back, or would you have waited at the front of the pub? Do you think?
I think he would have sort of come downstairs and been like, obviously, Dane's been dragged one way. It's like, guys, sort of. Now he's on his own. Esther's, not available. So I think, he might, slowly make his way, poke his head in the kitchen door, see no one's there. But obviously, I'm guessing the door between the residence and the kitchen's left open.
Yeah.
So probably slowly sort of following round, trying to track the other two down.
Okay. What is Jemima doing now? And
it depends.
Once you've established 100% that the sound is coming from the book.
There was a moment's time when I was kind of poking around the room. What did Dane do? Was Dane frozen for that whole period, or did Dane do anything else?
Dane is, I think, basically just about to run up to the book and close it in panic.
Oh, okay. I almost want to make us check between who does that. Jemima was going to go up to the book and have a look at it, like closer up, but she was going to poke it first with the poker, like poke its pages a bit to see if it does anything.
Okay. Would you both like to make a roll against your dexterity?
Okay. Oh. I failed.
I passed with 8 against 75.
Woo. Okay. Yeah, Dane gets there first. Slam the book shut. Whispering stops.
I imagine we both just stand there I stand there in silence, just like. So it was the book.
You got a quick glimpse at the writing on the page, unless you were running up with your eyes closed, which is also a completely fine decision to make. But let me know if you were doing that, Matt, if Dane was running with his eyes closed.
No, he had his eyes open.
The language on the page was not anything that you recognized.
I'm not sure he would take that in, but yeah, if there was enough time, perhaps. So I think Danny's kind of looking at Jemima sort of apologetically, as if he's just kind of blown it in a panic. But sorry, I couldn't listen to that anymore.
The whispering definitely just stopped. Well, that's good to know. We know something. I don't know. Probably a good idea to close it, I suppose. Did you see there was the symbol though? The symbol on the page was definitely what we've seen before.
I guess so. I wasn't really looking. There was writing in there as well, but nothing I recognized.
How could a book whisper? Can I? What's the cover of the book? Sorry, what's the cover of the book look like, Jonny?
It's worn leather.
No,
there's no title, author, anything like that on it.
Okay.
Can we move it? Like, is it kind of slammed shut now, just in the same position as it was?
Yeah, it's just on the bed, closed.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's still on the bed, I will kind of like just tentatively kind of not really pick it up, just kind of handle it a bit on the leather bit to check it's kind of safe very carefully.
Yeah, nothing bad happens from you touching it.
Okay, cool.
Don't open it again.
But it might be our clue to knowing more. We have to find out what's going on here. Maybe not now, I suppose. But what? This is the answer. It had the symbol in the book.
Okay, I think if Melvin's heading through, this is probably when you would appear.
We're arguing over a book on the bed.
Yeah. What's going on?
Did you hear?
Ran up and Esther is upstairs, and
did you hear the sound, Melvin? Did you hear the whispering?
No. The only I just heard you guys sort of talking as I got closer, but no whispering.
I think Esther must have heard it too. The book wasn't it, Dane? The book was whispering.
Yeah. If you want to open it again, I need to be outside. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Dane closed it. It was open on a page with the symbol we've seen before, the cross, the one on the church and on our doors. Definitely the same symbol. But as soon as it was closed, it stopped. The noise stopped. Everything just. I don't know. A book whispering. I know it's mad, but everything else here is too.
I mean, yeah, it's not the. It's probably not the strangest thing that's happened to us since arriving here. So if you said that to me a couple of days ago, I wouldn't have believed you. But
this book though, Melvin, this could be our answer. It's got the symbol.
Hear the front door to the pub open and close.
I will immediately snatch the book up without even considering the safety of it and try and like, how big is this book physically?
Like a sort of it's sort of Bible size, I would say, like your standard Bible size. You could probably put it in like tuck it in a jacket or something.
Okay. I will kind of immediately try and tuck it in whatever clothes I'm wearing, and then say, "Quick to the kitchen!" and kind of dash out to the kitchen.
Is everybody following at pace?
Yeah.
Try and stop me if you want. I don't mind. As soon as I get to the kitchen, I try and make it look like I was just like faffing with something or making tea or something. But I might utterly fail at that, given the weird stuff that just happened. Almost certainly Dane will, given how much you've been. Oh god, this was a bad plan.
I'm not sure Dane's quite right behind you. I think he's leaving, but a bit slowly.
Okay. So Melvin going to be ahead of Dane? Do you think Melvin would head out pretty sharpish?
Yeah, he's scared of getting in trouble, so yeah, I think he's getting out pretty quick.
Okay, in that case, Matt, could you make a dex roll for Dane and just see whether you manage to just sneak out in time?
And I'm going to roll to see if I remember to drop the poker or not. I did remember.
I got a 61. I needed 75 or under, so I think I'm okay.
Okay, great. So the door to the kitchen swings open gently, and Duncan comes in whistling. And just before he looks up, Dane sort of manages to get back through the door into the kitchen and pull it to almost precisely where it was, sort of slightly ajar beforehand, and grab hold of whatever implement you want to grab hold of to look like Dane hasn't just been in this man's house and messing around with a creepy book.
Like he's got 2 spoons, like a spoon in each hand.
And Duncan says, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon. I'm kind of half-heartedly spreading a piece of bread, and then I go, I'm just going to go have my snack upstairs, and I basically immediately dash out.
Of course. Let me know if you need...
Thank you! Going up the stairs.
Anything else? Mr. Caffey, Mr. Harrow, interest you gentlemen in a drink?
I need to use the bathroom. With that, he'll go upstairs as well.
Very good.
Yes. The drink sounds good.
Great. He heads out of the kitchen and just kind of, he doesn't wait for you to head out first. He just heads out and kind of waits for you to catch up and gets a couple of whiskey glasses and pours a couple of drinks. So those two sit at the bar. What are Jemima and Melvin actually doing?
So I will probably go upstairs, not knowing what's happened to Esther or what's gone on. I will probably first go into our room and then kind of, what state is Esther in? The door wasn't locked or anything, so what's going on with Esther when I open the door?
She's lightly wrapped in a blanket, which Melvin had put round her, and is still just kind of sitting like staring off into nothing.
Jemima will have a pause for a split second, feel guilty, and then just close the door again and go into Dane and Melvin's room. Because she's found something that needs to be investigated, and it's very important. Sorry, okay.
Esther. Is Melvin... have you Melvin gone into Dane and Melvin's room?
Yeah, he's probably come up the stairs as Jemima sort of shutting the door to her room and sort of going into his and Dane's room. So he'll follow her into there.
Great. Matt, is Dane just going to be drinking quietly unless Duncan tries to start any conversation? I'm presuming this current...
Yeah, I think he's still in shock a little bit, so he's drinking a little bit more aggressively than before, not really saying much. But if Duncan starts conversation, I think he'll snap back into the game. But yeah.
At least for the first couple of minutes, Duncan seems quite happy to kind of continue whistling, drinking his whiskey. So Melvin and Jemima.
What's Melvin? Melvin, you see me putting the book down probably if there's a small desk in the room or something, putting it on that, and then just like holding it like that, but not doing anything with it. I look at you as you come in. Do you? Yeah.
So the book was whispering.
Whispering, literally strange sounds no person I'd think could make. And the second Dane shut it, it stopped. It was certainly the book, no doubt about it. And as I said, there's more to it than that. There must be. Close the door. Close the door.
Yeah. Close the door behind me and say, well,
this might not make any sense to us, I feel. But I have to do it. I have to know.
Should we open it?
I have to know. She says that almost a bit scarily aggressively, I think. And then probably just opens it straight away to whatever the hell page it opens to. Actually, knowing Jemima, she opens it to the first page.
Don't want to spoil the story.
Yeah, gotta get through this thing, you know.
So, you are met with a page full of writing that you cannot read.
Mm-hmm.
What languages does Jemima know?
She knows English and Latin.
Okay. Would you like to make me an intelligence roll?
Mm-hmm. Yep, past that.
I actually meant education, but that'll do. That's
Past
fine.
That too. It's all good.
Okay, great. In that case, make a sanity roll.
Oh god! Imagine if I'm going to read every page of this. I don't think I'm going to manage that. Okay, I passed the sanity roll.
Oh, great. Okay. This isn't in Latin,
mm-hmm.
but there are some similarities, which mean that you think you can kind of interpret like the tone and the general gist of bits that you're reading.
Mm-hmm.
And the suggestion is that this is a magical tome, and that the contents of it can be used to curse places or people.
Okay, and I'm assuming it because of the feel I'm getting from reading it, because I had to make the sanity check. I kind of just believe it. Is that kind of right? I'm curious how I would interpret the sanity check sort of thing. What is it about the book that's making me feel so unsettled?
I mean, you think it was whispering to you previously, so that's probably plenty.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's not. In a normal situation, had you picked this up in a library, you'd think, oh, this was written 500 years ago by somebody who thought that stuff was magical.
Gotcha.
But in this setting, reading it, it's taking you a little more to sort of put that idea to the back of your mind.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's context. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is Melvin reading it like over my shoulder as well? Or?
Yeah, he's probably looking over your shoulder now.
Mm-hmm.
I
presume Melvin doesn't know any relevant languages to be able to.
No, he doesn't. He just knows English.
Okay, you'll be fine for now then.
Oh, that's all right then.
I kind of glance up at Melvin after having read the first page and just be like, kind of a little shaky, just say like, it's apparently a tome of old tome of how to curse people magically in some way or another. Curse. I guess that might explain the symbol. And then I'm kind of, I stop before I do anything else and kind of listen to see if I can hear anything going on downstairs. But presumably,
you hear the occasional sound of a bottle hitting a glass as presumably another drink is being poured.
Okay.
But nothing else.
Then I'm going to get my camera out.
Okay.
That takes me like a minute or two to set up a picture, unless Melvin is bothered by that.
Are you just taking a picture of that first page?
Yeah, I was just going to take a picture of the first page and the book kind of envision, but as long as it would be readable, sort of thing.
It'll probably say, should we take photos of it? Is that like
Of course we should take photos of it. We need to document the whole thing. This is some new to science discovery. No one has ever... And then she kind of trails off, going, maybe the back of her mind thinks maybe you're right.
If it is magic and cursed, do we really want more of that?
But how can we ignore this magic? We can't just let it be. We have to know what...
I mean, my experience of magic has been the past few days, and none of it, if it is magic, we might, it could be anything, but none of it's been good. Do we really, want to spread that out of this village? We could just leave, and I mean, this village has never bothered anyone as far as we know. We could just leave the village to their, whatever it is they're doing. Let's keep it contained.
Jemima kind of sighs and then goes, Melvin, we can't just leave. Look outside the window. We're stuck here for now, at least. And I, for one, need to know more about what this is. Maybe it'll give us a better chance at... I don't know what we're supposed to do about these things, but doing something about it. And two, I'd be very surprised if no one else has ever experienced these strange things. Perhaps the whole village is being affected by them. Perhaps they're at the mercy of some terrible power. Who knows? But maybe we can find out and help someone or do something about it, or call for aid. I don't know. Something. Clearly there's something terrible going on here.
I mean, you're right, but we don't need to take a photo of it to do that, do we? We can help the village, but I say we don't need to. Helping the village doesn't necessarily mean, or letting everyone know about curses and witchcraft and all the unholy things.
Jemima doesn't reply, mildly nodding, but continues to set up the photo.
So downstairs, Duncan's still whistling away, sort of drinking his drink. Every time, if Dane finishes his, he tops it back up. And he says, "Oh, so Mr. Harrow, did you manage to have a word with young Jimmy there about your transport out of town?"
Yes, so Dane will kind of come to a little bit. Yes. Esther and I paid him a visit. As we expected, he said today there was no chance of us going today, but if the weather was okay tomorrow, he would take us away. God, I hope the weather is okay tomorrow.
Yes, that would be fortuitous for you, as it has not been so far, unfortunately. Speaking of Miss Smith, she wasn't with you all. Is she feeling okay?
I'm not sure, actually. I haven't seen her. She might be in a room.
Okay, I'll check with one of the others when they come down, make sure there isn't anything I can do.
That's very kind of
I better get started on dinner. We're heading towards that time now. If you'll excuse me, Mr. Harrow, help yourself to drink from the bottle.
Thank you.
Thanks
for the drinks.
So a picture of the book.
Mm-hmm. Jemima is going to now say, I think next we should try and find the symbol. It was open on that page when... Oh God, it was open on that page when we were in there. Perhaps whoever was reading the book is the one drawing these symbols everywhere and cursing people, the village. And then she kind of like starts trying to find the page, but aware that this book is weird without staring at every page.
Okay. Yes, it takes you more page turns than you think it should to get to where you end up in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you realize when you turn to this page is that you'd previously been looking at the page upside down. So actually, the right-hand side is the writing, and the left-hand side is the symbol, but the cross is inverted.
Okay, so the symbol drawn correctly is an inverted cross.
Yes.
Okay, Jemima will say that out loud exactly as I said it. That's significant. I don't think this is a good book, Melvin.
No, but then what is it the right way?
Good
I'd say
point.
protection thing, but
Why is it the right way? That's true. Do you think that could be? I guess that could be a logical conclusion. But why have we been having the visions? Maybe it's been something else, as you say.
worse without it.
And then I kind of go, I guess, and then I look at the read, see if I can get anything from the page.
So this is essentially if from what you're getting, from what you can pick out in it, it seems that the writer believes that the symbol will remove any connection between the person who it's directed against and God.
Okay. Jemima doesn't really know how to take that, not being especially religious, but also very unsettled by the clear power that is relating to this book. It doesn't say anything about inverting the symbol?
No.
Okay.
And in fact, when you were sort of, if you were flicking through, if you were paying any attention to what was written in them, that none of them seem to mention anything about any variation on them or what you would do to undo them or that kind of thing. It's all sort of, this is this and this is what this does as shown here.
Okay. I will kind of say to Melvin, it's supposed to cut those cursed connection of God to God, apparently. That's what this symbol is for when drawn as is here.
I mean, everything we've experienced here is
Ungodly.
Ungodly, yeah. But again, if the upside down severs the connection,
No mention of that on the page at all. Nothing. Yeah. I will get my camera again.
While you're setting the camera up again, the door opens downstairs in the pub, and with a cold blast of air, in walks Willie, and says, Mr. Harrow, nice to see you.
Well, thank goodness. Where have you been? We were quite worried about you.
Well, just sorry, I just nipped out for a stroll. I had a nice chat with Duncan, and he made me, feel a little more at ease than I'd been feeling earlier. Obviously, his mood has picked up, so that helped me. But I'm freezing. Can I join you for a nice little bit of fire in my belly?
Yeah, come sit down, and then I'll pour him a generous drink.
Cool. He sits quite happily with his whiskey, and he says, I mean, I don't know if this is of interest to you, but as I was just walking in here, I saw all three of the Menzies heading out of their home.
That is strange. Where were they going?
They were heading in the direction of the lake. I don't know if they were going that far, but I'm not suggesting anything, but people in this village don't tend to lock the doors.
I don't know. Has anything else strange happened to you since we saw you? Is everything okay otherwise?
Yes, I've managed to avoid any weirdness today, fortunately.
Oh, I wish I could say the same.
Since earlier. Oh, really? What's...
There was a book. Jemima and Melvin are looking at it, but it was I was hearing things when I was near it, and I don't know how to explain it. I don't want to be near it, so hence I'm here.
In that case, I shall stay here with you, because that doesn't sound like something that Willie would be interested in either.
At the same time, that lake is quite a walk away. Maybe this is an opportunity to try and find out more, but I don't know. What do you think?
I'm not sure. I'm just providing you with some information that I spotted. We could wait for Dr. Wallace and Mr. Caffey and Miss Smith and all have a chat.
Okay. Oh yeah, we'll wait for them. I'm not going back in there.
So you've got a picture of the page spread with the cross.
Okay.
You'd probably did you shut the door?
Yeah, I made sure Melvin shut the door. Yeah. Has Melvin been saying anything else while I've been setting up the camera or anything, by the way, or trying to stop me?
No, I don't think he's going to go so far as to like stop you physically or anything. Sort of beyond his sort of initial sort of disapproval of it. No, I don't think he's saying much. I suppose he's still sort of just looking at the book. Not that you can sort of make out any of the words.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm trying to think what Jemima would do. If no one else stops her and the book doesn't seem to be causing any problems, Jemima will probably just continue spending time browsing through the book and investigating what else she can investigate from it. I don't really know what she would do from there, whether she's just going to start on page 2. Maybe just go back to page 2.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. How long do you want to spend looking through this?
I mean, this is the first clue to anything I've got, so probably until someone stops me. I would ask the other folks what they're doing to stop me, probably.
I mean, probably, yeah, gets some time then. And Melvin like, should we? We've been a while. Should we head backstairs?
So like
a page or two in.
Okay, so after a couple of pages, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
As you say that, I basically just slam the book immediately. And then I'm like, yes. I imagine I was like really absorbed to the point where I didn't really hear you, but then heard you after you said it. And I kind of just stare at the book on the table and then put my kind of big coat on and put the book in the pocket of my coat somewhere where it won't be spotted.
Okay.
Did I get anything else from the 2 pages that I read, by the way?
You didn't get anything specific, but you do think that you might have picked out a word that is something to do with calling or summoning.
Okay. I will, as we're kind of leaving the room, say quietly to Melvin, and there was a word that I kept seeing about calling something, summoning it, bringing it somewhere. I don't know exactly how it would translate. I kept seeing it though.
Oh, let's stay away from summoning anything out of that book. I think
that sounds a good
course of action.
Sounds a good plan.
So you're heading downstairs?
Yes.
I would probably go check on Esther. Now I'm not immediately distracted by book number 1 priority. Is she still as she was?
Yes. Yeah, very much so. Although now starting to look also a little sleepy.
Okay. Is she like pliant enough that I could help her into bed?
Yes. Yeah. If you attempt to do that, she's sort of in the state where she doesn't really pay you any attention, but she also kind of goes along with you, sort of,
almost like a hypnotized
settling it
person.
down. Yeah.
Okay. I can I like. I'm feeling like Jemima is going to do slightly doctory things. Can I check for a fever or something as well, just to make sure?
Yeah, sure. In terms of like heart rate and temperature.
Yeah, make sure she doesn't see if she's got an illness.
Yeah, so heart rate slightly elevated, but she's obviously under a lot of stress, so it's probably not untoward. No temperature spike or anything like that. So yeah. You could quite sensibly put it down to sort of an episode, I suppose, of like a
Okay. In that case, I'll kind of just go and leave her in the room, maybe get her a glass of water, and then go downstairs.
Okay.
Does Esther have a key for the room, as far as I'm aware?
Yes, you both have a key for the room.
Okay. In that case, once I leave, I'm going to lock it from the outside.
Yeah,
assuming
cool.
Esther can unlock it from the inside.
Great. So you all reconvene downstairs, and Willie says, Mr. Cathy, Dr. Wallace, hello.
Hi, Willie.
Good to see you're all right. We were wondering where you were earlier. Everything okay?
Yes, I just went out for a stroll. Spotted that nasty Menzies fellow and his wife and mother all leaving the house.
Oh, off for a walk themselves, were they?
Seems that way. As I said to Mr. Harrow here, if there was anything that you wanted to check up on them, now may be a good time.
Jemima visibly grins and then shakes her head at Willie and goes, and then kind of smiles further. I will look at Dane, or kind of lean closely to Dane, and then look at Willie and go, the book. And then I kind of go, oh, whatever. It's a book of curses or something.
How do you know?
I couldn't exactly understand it, but there were some similarities with Latin. I read that.
Willie says, I got a few curses in my book.
No, not like that, Willie. You probably think we're all crazy now, but I guess you're on the same bus as we are. Curses like real magical curses somehow. The symbol on the doors and other places was in the book, but it was upside down in the book. It's meant to be drawn as an upside down cross.
Oh, so maybe your one's a nice one?
Perhaps. It was definitely not a book of God.
What kind of curses? What does that mean?
I don't know. Magical curses meant to hurt people or harm people potentially. I didn't get much from it. Honestly, it was difficult to understand. There was so much in the book.
Tell me you don't have this book with you still.
She just doesn't say anything. But there was more in the front as well. It mentioned bringing something, calling it, summoning. It kept saying it. This is definitely our key to what's going on here. I'm sure of it. It must be. Jemima is doing lots of shifty looks over her shoulder as well.
So
I don't want anything to do with it, but you might be right. You might be right that this is the key to at least learning what is happening, and if it helps us avoid this, then so be it.
You've seen the terrible things going on here, Dane. You've seen them. It's already to do with us. There's no way of avoiding that. At least this way we might know what's going on here. This is our best option.
Yes, I think Dane's panic is sort of subsiding a little bit now, and he agrees that it's better not to sit and do nothing.
Does Willie have any reaction to me talking about this book?
He's just kind of sat taking it in a sort of like, obviously he didn't hear the whispering or anything or see the book, so it's all a bit abstract to him at the moment, and he's kind of sat listening, neither believing or disbelieving at the moment, just kind of like, right, okay.
Cool, that's all good.
Willie, why might they be going to the lake? What else is there up there? We just saw yourselves and the fishermen.
I don't know. I mean, down that way, there's obviously there's a number of houses down there. There's that pathway that we said about that takes you up to the top of the hill there, where you can see over the village. I think Duncan might have recommended that to you, Mr. Harrow, for a wander, since you like the hills. They could be going there. The next village is about 7 or 8 miles that way. I doubt they're heading there at this time in the day, but
So we probably have a couple of hours.
Do you really think that's a good idea? The whole village could see us.
So they just had a few drinks at this point. It's worth highlighting.
I love it.
I can't help you with the book, but I can go have a look.
Maybe you're right.
If it's that bad, they'll have locked the door, right?
Doesn't seem like anyone in this village locks their door very often, unless we're in this pub.
Okay. Well, as long as the book's not coming with me, I'm happy.
Says nothing. Jemima kind of distracts her on that point by saying, "But the book was found on. Wait, the book was found on his bed," kind of pointing to the back. No one else would have been in there, right? They shouldn't have been. I guess we know the priest was in his house. Maybe you're right, Melvin. Maybe it is to protect us. Maybe. Sorry, what's the name of the bartender again? My brain's completely.
Duncan.
Duncan. Maybe Duncan's been trying to help us somehow while we stay here.
It didn't sound very helpful.
Well, he isn't going to tell us this, would he? Without understanding, it just seems like madness, right? Maybe somehow it's protected us from something much worse.
Do we want to find out the much worse thing, or I mean, is it not safer for us to stay where at least somebody's watching out for us then? And I mean, it's probably not great if we've taken his one weapon at looking after us then.
It's not doing us a whole heap of good, Melvin, though, is it? Maybe we can protect ourselves better. Jemima's got a slightly wild look in her eyes.
Let's just give him it back.
What? No, I barely had a chance to look at it.
We don't know what we're doing with it.
He wouldn't tell us anything about the book. Nothing at all. He wouldn't even tell us if we gave him the book back now, he'd just take it from us and say it was all some madness and not speak about it again. This is our only clue that it means anything to us at this point.
Jack, can you make me an idea roll for Melvin?
An idea roll, yeah. Where's idea? What is idea against?
It's at the top, intelligence, yeah.
Yes, sorry, yeah, he passed.
Melvin's uncle thought that he was going to be in Glasgow today.
Oh no.
I thought it was going to be related to this.
No, it's much worse.
I was like,
I don't know whether Melvin is now more scared of this or more scared of his uncle. Whether he wants to have that conversation or...
Given that, does your face visibly change as you've had this realization?
I think it might, yeah.
Your mind will probably be like, Melvin, what is it? Thinking you've had some terrible revelation about the book or something? This is what we're talking about.
My uncle thinks... I told him we'd be in Glasgow by now.
What?
I told on the phone the other day. He's expecting me in the office. It's already been delayed so long, and
you're worried about getting to the office in time, and we're finding mystical powers beyond our comprehension that are somehow warping our perception of reality and time and space in this village.
I mean,
and you're worried about getting to the office in time?
Do you want to try explaining that to my uncle, or what? Oh.
I'll call him. Again, sorry, Ben has had a few drinks. But...
No. I should probably call him and just make up some excuse.
Jemima's mouth just opens and closes.
I think he will sort of make his way, sort of knock on the kitchen door and ask if he can borrow the phone again.
Duncan's whistling stops as you knock, and then he comes to open the door and says, Mr. Caffey, how can I help? Cup of tea?
No, that's quite all right, thanks. Would I be able to borrow the telephone again, please?
Oh, yes, of course. Please help yourself.
So, thank you. And he goes through and...
As you're heading through, are Dane and Jemima doing anything, or are you waiting in the front still?
Jemima is very awkwardly turning slightly away to make sure her jacket is absolutely closed and facing away from Duncan. That's all.
Dane is just putting the bottle cap back on the whiskey, and yeah, he knows he's been a little bit belligerent. So
okay. As Melvin kind of gets through into the living room, you hear Duncan kind of with a start come charging through to the back, and sort of without, fortunately for you, without looking into the bedroom, kind of reaches over and pulls the bedroom door closed and goes, sorry, Mr. Caffey, it's my bedroom. Nobody needs to be having a look in there. I'm sure you understand.
No, that's quite all right.
And he heads back out and leaves you with the phone.
Okay, yeah. Melvin tentatively rings the Glasgow office.
Mm-hmm. Hello.
Hello, it's me, Melvin.
Hello, Melvin. I'm afraid that your uncle's not in the office today. He was, as I think you know, he was going to send somebody else up to Glasgow, but because the trains are cancelled, he's actually going up himself in his motor car. So he's unavailable at the moment, I'm afraid.
Oh, okay. Clearly, Melvin is a lot, quite relieved at that. Do you? I don't suppose you have a way of. Well, I suppose there's a way of contacting him on the way, is there? If he's in a car back in 1924.
Not until he gets to the office, unless he,
No.
He could phone somebody on the way, unless he's given a place that he might stop potentially. But other than that, there's not really much of a way to get hold of him.
Yeah. Well, Melvin will probably ask, do you plan on making any stops on the way?
I'm not sure, to be honest, young Master Caffey. Probably, I'd imagine it will depend on how long the journey takes him. Weather dependent.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, that is why I was ringing in, is to let him know, or let everyone know that I'm still delayed in this village.
Oh, of course. I'm sure that nobody could expect anything else.
No. Well, could you just let him know that I rang if he gets in touch with you, and just say that I'll be there as soon as I can.
Yes, of course. Very lovely to speak to you, Mr. Caffey.
You too. Thank you.
And
bye.
Phone goes down.
Yeah. So Melvin will probably come out looking probably slightly happier than when he went in, because he's probably in his head thinking, right, until I leave this village, I don't really have to make any phone calls. But also, once his uncle's up there with a car, maybe there is a way out of here. If he can get in touch with his uncle.
Yeah.
He says, well, goes back through the kitchen. Thanks, Duncan, for letting him use the phone.
Of course.
And then makes way into the main bar area and says, well, that's one thing taken care of. My uncle is on the way to Glasgow in his car. So, I mean, worst comes to worst, when he's in Glasgow, we may be able to get out of here. if it's a way out, if it comes to it.
I think Jemima is scribbling in a notebook now and probably isn't really listening.
Willie says, "Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, that'll be well. What did you use? You went to speak to Jimmy, right, Dane? Is that correct? So we've got a couple of options on the table there potentially."
Yeah, I suppose the car is probably going to handle the snow better, so good to have that backup.
Hopefully tomorrow then.
Did we decide what our next step was? Are we, visiting Menzies' house?
Did
Or
Duncan was he getting us like lunch?
He's going to make dinner, but it's about 3 p.m. now, so
Okay,
it's
sorry.
sort of prepping as opposed to making it for now. Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I'll be like, did Duncan let you through to his house, right?
yeah. I
Did he seem bothered that something was missing?
he did. He rushed to close the bedroom door, which was open. I don't think he noticed anything missing or anything astray.
Good. Good. He's going to notice at some point, I suppose. I guess we can hope he doesn't think it's us. Or maybe you're right, Dane. Maybe we should give it back to him if he finds out.
Yeah, I don't know what to think. The priest said we could trust him, but just what if it was helping us? That's the only thing.
What if he was? He wasn't telling us what's going on, even if he thought we wouldn't have believed it. Clearly we're in danger. He should have tried. And then I'll look around and then look at Willie and be like, so are we going to go anywhere?
I'm just a messenger, I'm afraid. I gave you some information that I thought might be of interest to you.
Do you feel like a walk, Dane?
Yeah, let's go.
What's Melvin doing? I'll look at Melvin like,
Is Esther going to, or Miss Smith going to be okay?
I think she'll be fine, but for now I've locked her room for her. Hopefully she'll come out of it soon. I think it was all a shock. Everything. You heard it, Dane. Yes. I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah.
I suppose it beats sitting around waiting for more strangeness to occur. We could just we could go and just have a look.
Like I say, if the door's locked, the door's locked.
Do we know which one is Menzies' house, by the way? Have we?
You probably don't at this point, but Willie told you that he saw them leave the house, so he knows which house is theirs.
Okay. Then I'll kind of look at Willie and be like, do you want to show us where then, Willie?
Yes, of course. And then I suppose I could keep watch.
Probably best if we don't all wander in, I guess. Not really one for sneaking into houses very much, although seem to have done a lot of it here so far.
Yes, it does. This village does seem to have that effect on people, I think. Right, shall we?
Put my notebook away and stand up.
I'll let Duncan know that we're going to be heading out for a couple of hours, shall I say?
Mm-hmm. Certainly a little while, just to wander around the village or something.
I'll have dinner ready for about 6 o'clock.
Yeah, that's thank you. we'll make sure we're back for that.
Enjoy your stroll.
Thank you. You too. I mean, but thank you. Bye.
I'd stay off the tops if I was you.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the advice.
You know, the weather.
Of course. Yes.
Can you make a psychology roll?
Psychology. Yeah, I passed.
You don't think he's just talking about the weather?
Okay.
His tone sort of dropped quite meaningfully as he was. Yeah.
Was it just Melvin who heard that?
I think so. If Melvin was last out, it was sort of a parting.
Yeah. I imagine if Duncan's in the kitchen, Melvin sort of come into the doorway to speak to him, but I don't think he would have. Probably wouldn't have said it particularly loudly, would he?
No. So Willie leads you to the right, past the pub, and a couple of houses down, and then points to a house and goes, "It's that one there."
If we look around, is there kind of a lot of people milling about, or is it reasonably quiet?
It's pretty quiet. It's mid-afternoon, so it's not like if anybody is doing any farm jobs, not that they'd necessarily be doing anything in the fields when it's snowy, but if they're doing anything, they're not back from there yet. It's probably even just before the end of the school day for the kids as well. Wherever they get schooled, you haven't seen a school, but it's a very small village, so they probably either go to the next village or it's just in like a house building as opposed to like a big school. So yeah, it's not prime time for anybody really. There's not anybody around as you stand there. You're like, nobody's going to see you when you go in.
So I think there's still a bit of Dutch courage going on for a while. I think kind of going to walk towards the door and then stop and turn around and look at Willie and say, "Are you sure they left?"
There could be servants or someone else, though, right? How do we know?
Scouts on her. They left, and nobody. That I know they're an old family in this village, but there's no servants here. It's not.
Then it's going to kind of shrug and just walk up to the door and give it a big knock.
I kind of jump as you knock.
20 seconds pass. No answer.
Gives the door a push. Sees if there's any movement.
Opens.
So I think he's going to kind of turn around and look at everybody as if to say, "Shall I just go in, or are you coming?"
What's Willie doing? Is he keeping watch like he said he would, kind of thing?
Yeah, he's kind of looking expectantly at you three to see what you do. But he's standing sort of on the opposite side of the street to the house, so that he's not literally standing outside it looking around. Sorry, go on.
Is their property like, so if we're standing presumably kind of in their kind of front garden area now, are we not visible from other houses from the main street where we are then?
All the houses are sort of just along the street. There's not a front garden for this, but they're also all slightly sort of offset from each other. They're not in a straight line. So there is sort of an alcovey kind of thing that's sort of, between two other houses. You kind of set back a little.
Okay. So it's possible for someone to see us, but unlikely.
Yeah.
Does it look like the building has another entrance from the outside? I wasn't really going to run around the whole thing because I thought I'd get seen, but...
There might be a back door from what you've seen of other houses here. Plenty of them have a back door.
Okay. I will be close behind Dane, waiting for him, see what he does.
So yeah, I think he's going to head inside and leave the door sort of half ajar in case anyone wants to follow, but he's not going to check in.
Okay.
I look to Melvin.
I think Melvin will sort of go and sort of, yeah, I mean, probably go to follow.
Okay, I think I'll like nod to Melvin and say I'll stay here just in case, at like the front door, and then look to you again and say just keep an eye out for any symbols like we saw at the church.
Okay.
Can do.
Yeah.
So Dane's going to decide he's not going to. He's going to try and be quite quiet. I think he's not just kind of saying hello or inviting any. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a similar entrance to the priest's house. So you kind of enter into like a kitchen with a small dining table with the classic sort of head chair at the top of the table, which you presume that Donald Menzies would have had until a few days ago, and now Jacob Menzies probably sits in. Then there is a door through to another room, which is it's slightly open.
So I think one thing Dane's keeping his eye out for is kind of bookshelves to see if there's any books that kind of look similar on the outside. I don't know if there are any bookshelves in here.
There's nothing in the kitchen area.
Okay.
Do you want to go through to the next room?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this seems to be their kind of lounge area. There's a few chairs and quite an ornate fireplace, and also stairs at the back end of this room going up. And there is a bookshelf. Do you want to have a?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's the first thing we would go and look at. Basically, looking for like a leather-bound book of the same sort of size and features.
Okay. So Dane spots a leather-bound book, which looks to be it's a Bible. It looks like it might be a family Bible. It's a sort of big old book. There's not anything that looks exactly like the one that you found in the pub. That's probably the nearest thing.
Okay. So I think he would kind of flick through it very quickly just to like verify whether it's a Bible or whether it's something more sinister.
Yes, it is a Bible, and then it has a section for like the family history stuff, like a family Bible would. So lots of handwritten stuff in there.
Okay.
Would Dane have a bit more of a look through that, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Just to look at the family tree if there is one, or if there's any kind of lineage stuff in there.
Okay. There's quite a lot written in here. Can you make a library use roll? Because you're going to be trying to probably look through quite quickly, I imagine, and pick out some key bits of info. Is it just Dane in the house? Everyone else outside still?
No, Melvin's gone in.
Oh, okay.
With him, yeah.
So I have not passed that. I rolled 49 and 20 skill in library use.
Okay. Does Melvin want to make a roll as well? Because I'd imagine you've probably drawn his attention to it. So
no, I failed also.
Okay. So yeah, lots of family history stuff dating back to like the 16th century. So bits of the book are sort of tattered, and then there's even been new pages added in to this section to allow more space for writing.
So I think Dane's instinct is that Jemima needs to see this.
Okay.
So I think he's going to just kind of, after Melvin and him have looked at it and not really figured anything out, probably just take it and sort of nip out to the door and show Jemima.
Okay.
Before that's happened, I was doing something that might make a difference to the situation, because Jemima is not always the smartest person. She first was she thought it was sensible to stay there, because if Willie saw someone, dashing to the door would be conspicuous, so Willie could make a motion to Jemima to be like, "Oh, we better get out." And that was the thinking. But after a few seconds of just watching Willie kind of hidden in the door alcove, she gets a bit bored, and then she remembers this book is still in her pocket. And so she kind of makes sure she's as sidle hidden away in the corner under the alcove, so absolutely no one could see her as possible. And then just gets the book out and starts like leafing through at some of the images again.
Okay.
So that's how it would be found. I don't know if that matters, Jonny.
That's fine for now.
Okay.
Are you gonna? Would you be? How much time do you think that Jemima would spend on one page?
I would like to try and understand it. So I'm more, a page. Oh, this looks interesting. Let's try and understand it, than just flicking through randomly.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'll do something with that in a bit.
That's how you find me at the doorstep.
Yeah,
Dane.
Can you put that away? Look at this.
I look shocked that you saw me doing it. Just like, what's that?
Just take a look. I can't make head nor tail of it, but I think it's a family history.
Sure. I have a look through, presumably the back bit. Do you want me to make a library use roll as well, Jonny?
Yeah, this is purely for speed. If you were to sit and look at this for some time, I wouldn't need you to make a library use roll, but it's just in terms of skim reading and picking out key bits of information.
Yeah, that's fine. I passed the library use. So
okay.
Pretty good at that one.
Is Dane going straight back in after passing the book over?
I think he will hang on in case sort of Jemima interprets it quite quickly and he can kind of put it back, because I guess while it's out of place, he's feeling a little bit nervous.
Okay. What you managed to piece together reasonably quickly, Jemima, is that in 1607, the body of William Menzies was exhumed from the burial isle by a James Douglas.
Does the last name Douglas mean anything to me?
None at the moment.
Okay.
And he was reburied outside by James Douglas. So he was dug up from inside the church, reburied outside.
Okay.
The Menzies then returned the body to the burial isle. And ever since then, anytime a Menzies patriarch has died, it seems that they have been exhumed by a Douglas and reburied inside by a Menzies.
Okay.
And there is actually one time that didn't happen because the Douglases refused to play their part. And for the next 5 years, the village was in famine.
Okay.
That was in the 1800s.
Okay.
There is also a description that is in, you believe, the same language as that other book was written in, of some kind of ritual that also takes place after these events.
Okay. I can't really make head nor tail of the ritual, I'm assuming, though.
Not without some study.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't think I want to keep the book from Dane, so I will make a few scribbled notes of the first part, which I totally have already forgotten some of because I wasn't writing when you said it, but I'm sure I can consult again. I'm making notes, so Jemima's remembered. And then I will maybe just try and like really quickly scribble down some of the more like commonly used symbols of the kind of bit about the ritual, but only like 20 seconds really quickly, just see if I like recognize the same symbols in the book.
Okay.
Just like verify, and then hand it back to Dane and say, that's a very strange thing to do.
Okay. You can fill me in on that later.
Later. Go.
Dane's just going to rush back in and sort of put the book back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you doing any more investigation in the house?
I think so. There's still another door, right, that we can see. I don't know whether Melvin's
There's
been
stairs.
looking around.
There's stairs
Yeah.
to go up.
Yeah, did Melvin do it?
Melvin
Melvin
was probably still in that initial room, snooping around in there, seeing if there's any other. Don't suppose there's any other noticeable books or anything like that in there, is there?
No, nothing of note.
So I think from Jemima's response to that book, Dane's got the sense that that was kind of GC. And so he's going to say to Melvin, I think Jemima has learned something from that. I don't know. We still might have a bit of time. Should we go upstairs very quickly?
I mean, it's risky, but when else we might not get this opportunity again. So,
okay, I'll tell you what. I'll go up. You head outside. It's much better if there's only one of us in here. I'll be 2 minutes. I'll be back out.
I'll wait at the bottom of the stairs, and if I get the signal, then I can shout you down. Then.
Perfect. Okay, so then I'll head up.
Okay. It's all very plain upstairs. 2 bedrooms. Nothing really to see in either. Like more plain than your bedrooms at the pub. It's literally like a bed and a bedside table with a lamp on.
I think Dane is checking both sides of each door as he goes in and out of every room.
Yeah. No, there's nothing on any of them.
Yeah, okay, well in that case he'll quickly head down again to give Melvin sort of shake his head and then not to leave.
Okay. Is Jemima saying anything to Willie?
Presumably Willie's still across the other side of the lane from me, right? So a bit of a distance away. So
he's kind of he's not just stood. He's kind of dawdling around, and as if he's waiting, because it probably does look less conspicuous than if he was literally stood.
Yeah. I will, given that I could see Melvin in the doorway quite easily, probably wander over to Willie, and just be like, have a quick conversation with him about nothing in particular. Did he see me holding the book?
Yeah, he's gonna say. So what was that Mr. Harrow came out with?
That one. That was a diary. Not a diary. Sorry, like a Bible, but the end of it was sort of like a family chronicle.
Oh, like a family Bible.
Yeah.
Anything interesting in there about the Menzies?
Lots. A strange ritual of sorts that they do every time a Menzies dies. Definitely related to that grave, the fresh dug grave. I still don't know why the soil was on our door, but
oh my!
I'll talk more about it when we all get together.
Okay. Yeah.
I think they'll be out in a moment, hopefully. All right, out here.
So you guys just heading out?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, not kind of wasting too much time.
Cool. Yeah, you're out. No sign of the Menzies still. So closing the door behind you, I presume.
Absolutely.
Cool. Great. Out without incident.
As far as we know. Did you find anything else?
Nothing. I went upstairs, but nothing of note. Nothing on the doors.
So there was nothing there more suspicious than anywhere else. In fact, nothing suspicious. That was just a family Bible. I mean, strange tale, but no books, nothing like that. No
Nothing that we can
magic
see.
books. No symbols anywhere. Nothing. But the Menzies must be involved in this, surely.
Still, it's quite the tale to have in your Bible.
Indeed. But the fact that they have that in their Bible means they're surely not trying to hide it in their house. But they don't have anything else. It almost seems strange to me. if Duncan has this book in his possession, I would imagine the Menzies would have so much more.
Well, Duncan was certainly trying to stop us getting into his bedroom, whereas the Menzies were quite happy to leave this door open, so maybe they thought they had nothing to hide.
Suppose. Anyway, we should get back and talk.
Cool. Willie starts to head off at that, back towards the pub.
Jonny, what was the impact of me reading? Is it going to have any impact upon now, or?
Nothing at the moment.
Okay, cool. I will not remind again then, and that's all you.
If you continue reading the same page, there may be something. I wanted to gauge whether you were sort of repeatedly sort of, going, I can't get any more from this page now, I'll move on, or whether you were sort of honing in on specific bits and trying to get to the bottom of something.
Okay, we'll see what Jemima does next. She opens the book and how she feels.
Okay.
If she opens the book, I mean.
Great. So you get back to the pub. Probably only half an hour past, so about 3:30. Duncan pokes his head out as the door goes and says, let me know if you need anything. Otherwise, I'll carry on with my preparations. Heads back into the back.
I will relay the story to everyone else. Sorry, Jonny. What was the date?
1607.
So in 1607, apparently, I'm saying it quietly and making sure there's no one else around. Apparently, a Menzies was dug out of the church by someone of the last name Douglas, and then reburied outside, and then put back in the church by the Menzies family again the day after or something. And this was all in there, recorded in their Bible. And ever since that first time, they've been doing it every time a Menzies died, but always by a Douglas. The same burial ritual, I suppose.
Dane's going to kind of look at Willie. Have you heard anything like this in your travels?
No, but there's still some Douglases in the village.
Who are the Douglases?
You know that bonny young lass with the red hair and her mum and dad?
I had a feeling. They looked awkward too, didn't they? Like they knew something unpleasant was going to happen, involved in this somehow. There's more. That apparently at one point in the 1800s, the Douglas family member who was supposed to do their part did not. They refused for some reason. Like they refused it all. Maybe they knew it was a terrible thing to be doing or something. I don't know. But they didn't do it. And then for 5 years afterwards, there was a famine in the village, almost like divine intervention.
If it wasn't for everything else going on, I'd say this just sounds like suspicions, and it just sounds like nonsense.
I would agree with you as well, as you say, unless we'd seen all this. But even so, there's all sorts of strange rituals that archaic village practices that exist throughout this country, but the idea that they would have come up with something so obscure as to dig someone out of the ground, rebury them, and then move them back again, what could have prompted that in the first place?
Well, they were having a second funeral, but it was a false alarm.
No, that must have been the second funeral ritual where they rebury him again back inside. Have they not done it yet then?
So they didn't do it.
Does that mean it hasn't been done? Jemima kind of has a moment. We haven't heard the church bells go again, have we? He's still buried there. Maybe Douglas has refused again. Do you know them, Willie? The Douglas family?
Not well. I've said hi to them in the street, but that's all.
Did what's his name? The father of the family, if you know.
That would be Patrick Douglas. That's it.
Patrick. Did he seem particularly unnerved? I mean, we've seen him seem unsettled in passing, but perhaps he's refused to do this for some reason.
I mean, he didn't seem unnerved when I spoke to him, but it was when I first got to the village. So I suppose before all of this, whatever this is, had started.
Steve reminding me. And Melvin, you saw the gap in the stone in the church, remember? Where he was supposed to be buried.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't sealed.
It all makes sense, doesn't it? Apparently there's some other part of the ritual too, but I couldn't read it. It was that same terrible writing.
The Douglases live just over the other side of the square if you wanted to speak to them.
What are we going to say to them, though?
Well, I don't know. Can you make an idea roll for Dane, Matt?
Sure thing.
Jemima starts kind of poring over her notebook again, seeing if she can make any more conclusions from this.
So it is a pass with 26 for 65.
Right. You overheard him trying to get Jimmy to do something, but he couldn't because of the weather. When you went to speak to Jimmy, and said it has to be today.
Yeah, so then he's, I guess, kind of laughing a little bit when he says this, but yeah, now you say this. When we went to see Jimmy, he was there, and it sounded like he needed Jimmy to do something, and it was really urgent. Jimmy was involved in the first funeral, right?
That's why pallbearers, I think.
Yeah, that's why he couldn't take us away last time. So,
But Jimmy's the cart driver as well, isn't he? Perhaps Douglas was trying to flee. If he knew what was coming.
He said it had to be today.
Before the ritual. Maybe he doesn't want to be part of this.
Yeah. I for one want and need Jimmy to be here tomorrow to take us out of here, so perhaps we need to go and raise this, although Jemima, I don't know where we would possibly start.
Neither do I. It sounds like Douglas knows what we want to know and wants out of it, so maybe he would talk with us, but I honestly don't know why, given that we're outsiders still.
We've got something, which is Melvin, your uncle, might be coming. It could be a way out. Maybe it's something we can bargain with.
But it won't be for days, surely.
He's got to get up to Glasgow from London, and then we've then got to get in touch with him to let him know where we are. And he's got to make. I mean, it's a long shot, but yeah, I mean, it's something.
We don't have to tell them it's going to be that long.
Jemima smiles again. You're going to tell him it's today. That might get us more information.
Today or tomorrow morning.
He said it needs to be today. You said it yourself.
Well, I heard him. It's reasonable that I would ask him.
Willie, you know, maybe you should go ask.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure I know him any better than any of you. I'm happy to accompany you.
Go on, Dave. Maybe it's best if we don't all descend, I suppose.
Yeah, really. Let's go the two of us and see what we can find out.
Okay. Willie puts his coat back on, taken off, and you head back out into the cold. The light's beginning to dim now. There's still light, but it's sort of darkening down as you walk across the square. So you're going to the Douglases, aren't you? Not to Jimmy. Yeah. So you wander over, and Willie says, "Right, this is the house. Do you want to knock, or should I?"
Yeah, let me give him a knock.
Willie kind of steps back a little away from the door.
So yeah, Dane will give it a knock and say hello.
Cool. You hear footsteps coming towards the door, and the door opens, and it's the man that you now know to be Patrick Douglas. And he says, "Hello.
Mr. Douglas.
You're the visitors to the village, aren't you? The ones who got stuck here from the train. Terrible business."
That's right. That's right.
Looking down at his feet as he's talking to you.
That's right. I'm so sorry to trouble you. I was visiting Jimmy, and I overheard you requesting his services. Jimmy was kind enough.
He basically grabs you by the shoulder and kind of pulls you inside, and then reaches out and grabs Willie as well and slams the door. And you see him as he kind of pulls Willie, and he sort of does a quick look either way in the street before he slams the door shut as well. He
kind of stunned silence.
Turns around, sort of with his back to the door, and says, "You can't just talk about this. You can't."
I was just talking about Jimmy in the wagon, and sorry.
I know. You just, there's people who can't hear things like that.
Okay.
You realize that sort of in the stairs, which are at the side of this room, is his wife and daughter kind of looking through. And he says, "You two, go upstairs."
Look, I don't know if you were wanting Jimmy to help you. I don't know what you wanted from him, but what we want from him is to be able to leave here. If you're looking for the same, then please do let us know, because we really do want to make sure Jimmy is available to help us. And is that what you're trying to do? Are you trying to leave?
It's too late. He can't get us out of here in time.
In time for
Can you make a spot hidden roll?
Does Willie get one too?
It is a pass, just.
Okay. You see at the back of this room is a muddy shovel.
I'm sorry, but what did you have to do with that grave?
I'm sorry. Look, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
I'm sorry. You brought us in here. You need to explain yourself.
He goes to the door, but as you say that, he goes, I can't.
Okay, look. We have a friend here with us. His uncle is due to visit here very, very soon. He's bringing a car. There's room for plenty of us. You just need to say the word. If this is what you're looking for, then we will bear you in mind.
When you say about the car, he looks up with a sort of hopeful look in his eyes.
Oh God, I'm just so guilty.
Okay, at the pub. So Melvin and Jemima. Yes.
Jemima was literally the second Dane and Willie were out the door. She's kind of obsessed now. She dashes straight upstairs and she opens the page she was on because she got interrupted while looking at it.
Okay. What's Melvin doing?
I think he's probably going to leave her to get cursed or whatever it is that's going to happen to her. And he's probably sort of hanging out. He might, with everything going on, he might pour himself a small drink and try and decompress a bit, I think, from all the... Because, I mean, there's been weirdness, but now it's like written down weirdness. Do you know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, we could be all hallucinating. It's
verified.
Yeah. So he's,
Okay. So you hear the sort of jovial whistling of Duncan continuing in the kitchen, which is a sort of serious juxtaposition to everything else that's going on. So Jemima.
Yep. That idea. Oh, I love it.
You manage to, you think, completely decipher one of the pages. So can you make a sanity roll, please?
Absolutely, I can. Still quite high. Still got a fair chance. I failed.
Okay. Can you lose 2 sanity, please?
Could have been worse.
Right. Jemima has deciphered a spell.
Fireball.
The spell is very sort of imaginatively titled Death Spell.
Okay.
So in terms of the mechanics, it's a 15 magic point cast, which I believe is your total magic points. And it will also cost you 3d10 sanity to cast. Sorry.
Okay.
The casting, the casting time for it is D3 rounds. And I'll give you the greater stuff later, but
how
essentially, it's D3 rounds for you to cast it.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially escalating D3 damage to whoever it's cast upon until they eventually expire.
That's pretty dark. I can understand why I lost some sanity for that.
Yes, so that's what you've picked up. And Melvin, can you make a listen roll for me?
I failed.
Okay. In that case, you only notice when Duncan's whistling stops. And you hear the sound of a duvet being thrown around and things being sort of pushed aside as if somebody's looking for something that they've lost in the back room of the pub. And then a moment of silence. And then Duncan comes sort of tearing out of the kitchen door and says, "What did you do?" Back at the Douglases, there is a moment of sort of hope on Patrick Douglas's face as you've said that there may be a way out. And then there is a knock at the door. He sort of stands there, frozen with that kind of look of hope on his face that kind of dissolves. And then he turns round and slightly opens the door. And you hear the voice of Jacob Menzies say, "Hello, Patrick." And we'll leave it there.
Lots of
There was his face. Very
like a terrifying face. Is that just how he comes? Like we view him for a split second beside the door or something?
Yeah.
Only in profile.
Only ever in profile.
Only ever in profile.
God.
I
hope Dane's last act in life wasn't to lie to some lovely man.
I hope Duncan's not going to come upstairs and just find Umami like nose in this book, just like losing her mind, just like hello. Oh man, I'm in such trouble. I regret nothing.
So there we are. If anybody has any questions or comments, pop them in the chat, and Matt can put them up on screen for us to answer and discuss. While that's going on, promo things. Tuesday nights here on the Twitch, we have Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. Wednesday nights, we have Simba Room, which is a Free League created role-playing game, which is like a dark fantasy. And then the first Saturday every month is a kind of cycling different one-shot, with the next one being Fiasco on the first Saturday in June. Which is a GM-less game, which our lovely Matt, who plays Dane Harrow, is involved in that next one. So that's going to be nice. Twitch and YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and Discord and Patreon, all linked below. Pop us up some spicy comments and questions, Matt.
Oh, this is such a mess. Oh god.
I will do that, but before I do, I should say that the Fiasco one shot is actually this Saturday, not the first.
Oh, sorry, first Saturday of May. Sorry, yes, my mistake.
This Saturday, 3:00 BST.
Sorry, I apologise.
It's all right.
I can remember 1607, but I can't remember the first Saturday in May.
Well, you're older than you look.
Yeah. Happy to hear the Telling Tales tradition of getting names wrong is not lost in the Cthulhu series. That's right. Has anybody else just made up a name that's completely irrelevant to anything? That's what I want to know. I could understand if I confused two names, but I think coming up with one that isn't anybody is another level of stupidity.
I guess Wallace came from my last name, maybe?
Maybe.
I mean, you say, coming up with a name is stupidity, but all of the names in this bar, the characters you've come up with. So
yeah, true.
That's true. Yeah.
I love it.
There's a reason we call him Dane the Sane Harrow. That was before.
That was before
In hindsight, not a great nickname.
That's definitely not going to be my nickname for very much longer.
In 100 years' time, those photos will be being examined nervously by a doomed doctoral student in an empty, echoing university library late at night.
I enjoyed that one.
That's Arc 2 of the Call of Cthulhu game.
So perfect.
Taken by a Dr. Jemima Wallace, who disappeared without a trace in the Scottish Highlands in 1924. Spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see no way Jemima could make it out of this. So So smart.
Melvin's going to get fired or disowned.
Yeah, I love Dane promising the car. There's plenty of room. I'm just like, there's
Yeah.
what, like 7 people promised for this car now?
Gonna come down in a massive
Nope.
people carrier.
8
Stretch
In the
Hummer,
snow.
that's what he's coming in.
in the snow,
It'll all be
guaranteed.
fine.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, he owns a joint solicitors / bus hire firm. It's unorthodox, but it keeps a roof over their heads.
Should check the stone in the church with the narrow gap around it. Is it still unsealed?
Oh yeah.
Well remembered, Steve.
That was what got reminded me of that, Steve. Jemima.
Yeah, there
totally
were a
fine with the
couple of
jog.
comments. There were a couple of comments in around that point when it was like people remembering things that may or may not have been relevant.
Yep, indeed.
How many minutes into the next session do you think you'll survive?
I think.
Yeah, give us an
12.
individual answer each. How many minutes do you think you'll survive? We'll write them down. Whoever got closer, I will give the least gruesome death to know.
I bet 12. I think
12.
that's fair.
Rounding to the nearest minute would be 0 minutes. So yeah, probably that's 25 seconds.
Okay, so in the
You
immediate
see
beginning of next
Jacob.
session, Menzies is just going to murder you.
It's
And
possible.
Duncan turns terrible. I mean, he doesn't know we got the book. Someone else could have taken the book, right?
Yeah, I mean, Melvin's been left without his trusty weapon, which was his book, to throw at Duncan. But
Just immediately throws a book in his face.
yeah, still runs him. He's got books everywhere. Unfortunately, not the magic one. Unfortunately, not the magic one.
Wishing I lugged that hunting knife around for the entire last 5 or 6 sessions.
But you
It
did.
would be worth it.
You have it on you, don't you? Yeah. Oh, knife fight beginning. Oh. Well, I mean, no one better mess with me now. I've got a death spell.
I mean, if someone could have been really clever and thought, I know, I'll equip their character with a shotgun in the town they were never going to get to.
I think the one character with the gun is currently rocking back and forth in a room in the dark.
Yeah. Cool. That's everything from the questions and comments. So we'll disappear and hopefully see you all next week or on Tuesday for Vampire, Wednesday for Simba Room, Saturday for Fiasco with Matt. Catch you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.